have reason to believe that you are amazing.
'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe.
It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
It sat as a dog does, obedient for a moment, soon starting to tremble. Stay to the earth of rivervine valley meadows, of fossiled escarpments of limestone and sand.
One of those students makes the poem their own. The first time that a student had completely memorized and completely nailed and kind of like moved me with the way they performed the poem in a way that they hadn't while we were practicing, felt like, wow, that's why we do this.
The world in bravery doth take delight, and glistering shows do more attract the sight. That everyone doth honor a rich hood.
English teachers who've been in the classroom for a long time realize that reciting and understanding the multiple meanings of poetry is really key to understanding the critical thinking needs of our ever-changing world. It's more about diversity, it's about language, it's about culture, it's about colorful words that make people feel really connected to their lives.
Children under, say, 10 shouldn't know that the universe is ever expanding, inexorably pushing into the vacuum, galaxies swallowed by galaxies whole, solar systems collapsing, all of it acted out in silence. I chose that poem because it was really about the loss of innocence and how the poet really wants children, say under 10, to retain their innocence and really not expose themselves to the real world, because as a child, Nick Flynn wasn't able to shield himself from those sort of things. 10-year-olds should stick with burning houses, car wrecks, ships going down, earthbound, tangible disasters, arenas where they can be heroes.
My weight is 4 whippets, 2 Chinese gymnasts, a half-shot putter. It can be measured in bags of sugar, jam jars, enough feathers for 60 pillows.
Poetry out loud is wonderful. I think it gives kids the opportunity to express themselves through other people's words, which is different than having to come up with something on your own and really tie into that bigger cultural experience.
I measure myself against the sky in its winter coat, pea traces in the water, air locked in the radiators at night.
The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees. My poem is called Caged Bird, as I said, and it's about freedom, and it just talks about the differences and the opportunities that a free person has versus someone who is imprisoned one way or another, and I just really like that whole concept.
Package store shooting a pistol, firing it once at the dumbfounded man who falls forward, grabbing at his chest. A few sounds escape from his mouth, a babbling no one understands, as people surround him, bewildered at his speech. The noises he makes are nothing to them.
One of the poems I'm doing today is called The Legend by Garrett Hongo, and it's a really emotional story about how this man, an Asian man, comes out to his car and he's putting the laundry in his back door and he gets shot. And the boy runs away and he's just left there on the street and everyone's surrounding him and doesn't know what to do.
I enjoy all of the students' approaches to poetry, and seeing those poems come alive on the stage is a gift for everyone here.
The woman spent an hour plucking out her brows, and our perfume was made from the destruction of 100 flowers. Then play the one about the flower industry. Poem is just about finding different things to think about and then being faced with reality and deciding what's really important. No. I must play the one about the single yellow daffodil standing on my kitchen table, whose cut stem draws the water upwards so the plant is flushed with the conviction that the water has been sent to find and raise it up from somewhere so deep inside the earth not even flowers can remember.
We're joking around and some words come to my mind which, to my amazement, are said. How do you know when you can laugh when somebody dies? Your brother dies is what's said.
These days, kids are super excited about writing poetry. But a lot of them don't really have any background in poetry or know sort of where it comes from. And that's what Poetry Out Loud is about, is having them understand their literary heritage to help them with writing their own or expressing emotions that they wouldn't know how to express. Sometimes using someone else's words is a really good way to allow you to express emotions.
Only wanted to know how grief ends and when.
I really learned that poetry in high schools is usually like something they'll give you one poem and they teach you to find a certain linear meaning, where Poetry Out Loud really taught me to choose a wide range of poems and really teach myself what I really thought about it personally.
Had her someone in her told her it would end? Was her someone in her kinder to her, not tearing at her as mine did, still does me for guessing grief someday ends? Is that why her sobbing stops sometimes? She didn't laugh, though, or I never heard her. How do you know when you can laugh? Why couldn't someone have been there in me, not just to accuse me, but to explain?
My hands on the flowered hips of a bright bikini. My toes dig in, curl around wet sand.
We may only see 11 students today for our Contra Costa County performance, except what you don't know is the thousands that tried to be here. So the impact of this program is really much farther reaching than you might see in one simple afternoon of poetry being recited in a theater. It really impacts a large number of teenagers.
Poetry Out Loud is important to me because usually poetry is read on a page, but now you actually get to hear it and speak to people through it.
Only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. And miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep.
He is giving these kids a lot of excellent techniques for making those poems real and relatable and honing the students' performance techniques so that they're not just reciting a poem, they're living that poem.
I love you as the plant that doesn't bloom, but carries the light of those flowers, hidden within itself. And thanks to your love, the tight aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body.
Such a book must contain, it always does, a disclaimer. I make no such, for here I have collected all the best. The lily.
Seeing them learn and grow from where we started working together, it's really thrilling to see how enriched they become from the exposure to poetry.
The leaf you pick up from the fall rises and dips away with every ridge, fingers stiff from time you trace.
Sometimes a poet can express something that a normal human being feels but just can't put into words. How do you put a price tag on that kind of education?
Doctor, you say there are no halos around the streetlights in Paris. And what I see is an aberration caused by old age, an affliction. I tell you, it has taken me all my life to arrive at the vision of gas lamps as angels,
to soften and blur and finally banish the edges you regret I don't see.
Many thanks to the California Arts Council for supporting Poetry Out Loud.
Black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul.
Elm branches radiate green heat. Blackbirds stiffly strut across fields. Beneath bedroom wood floor, I feel earth.
Thank you so much to AC5. I mean, your support of this program has brought poetry to thousands of students in the county and has made it a true gift and a true literary experience for our students, for which we are very, very grateful.
Please protect the arts. We need these students to be exposed to poetry and to literature and to the arts in general. It's a crucial point in their development as people, not just as artists. You are so amazing. Just thought you should know.